100. Got traffic there. Last there, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. Do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello,
Hello! Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special Thursday night's live stream from a hotel somewhere near Friedrichshafen. We are tonight in Edsrum. We won't be in Edsrum after the show, don't worry, but we have been here before. Now, we realise that you're usually accustomed to our super slick production values, but tonight we'll be finishing the planning for tonight's show in about 10 minutes, because at the moment it's a little bit stuck. Some of the technology didn't quite work, and we haven't quite got enough plugs or enough lighting. Anyway, we'll do our best. So we have a fantastic guest tonight, Aaron Fitzgerald, Redbull Helicopter Aerobatic Pilot. He is in the green room. He'll be along at about 8 o'clock. We didn't get a chance to talk to him before because we were a bit gashed, but Aaron, if you can hear us, which hopefully you can, we'll be bringing you on screen at about somewhere between 5 to 8 and 8 o'clock, depending on how badly we mess up the rest of it.
He's smiling. I think he's got the message.
Thank you very much. That's great, because I can't see you either. So I'm just kind of talking into the void. So first of all, we have to thank Skydemon for sponsoring the live stream. Thank you very much for sponsoring the live stream, Skydemon. Much appreciated. And while we're here, because this is an Aero Oshkosh special, Oshkosh special?
Aero. A live stream Aero.
A live stream Aero special. We should also thank Cirrus Aircraft and 4Flight, who have supported all of our coverage here this week, and that will include the video that comes out later tonight and the video that comes out tomorrow and a whole host of videos that will come out over the next couple of weeks. So thank you to everybody there. Right, I think it must be time for the Skydemon tip of the week, which I think has got something to do with waypoints, and it's come from the man himself, Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim from Skydemon. Welcome to today's top tip.
When you're flying, if you see something interesting on the ground, you can quickly create a user waypoint by opening the main menu and selecting Create User Waypoint here. You'll see the waypoint appear on the map. After you're done flying, open the Setup menu and choose User Waypoints and go into the folder Dropped in Flight. You'll see your waypoint here. You can then rename it choose the proper folder for it, and press Save. Your new waypoint is here on the map.
For more information on any of our features, go to skydemon.aero and choose Help and Support.
Oh, they're back.
Hello. Bear with us 2 seconds. Just going to find it must be time for the weather, and as if by luck, we just found the weather video. So look, you just got to stay 1 second ahead, haven't you? So here's the weather for the weekend.
Evening, all. Hope you're doing well. Not great weather, is it, in Friedrichshafen? Looking at that satellite picture, Friedrichshafen in here. And that's low pressure, with the clouds rotating around that area of low pressure, which is what's brought you the rain, and it's brought you the cold today. Looks like a few showers tomorrow. The weekend is looking a little bit better. Look at the clear skies over the UK. Not that I'm gloating or anything, of course, you understand. And gloat I need not, because actually tomorrow conditions aren't going to be particularly great. This is how things shape up then for Friday. We've got a front that's lying through central and northern parts of the UK. Now, there will be some rain along that front, but across more southern areas, you can see here this trough. I think some heavy showers developing, but probably some flyable interludes between those showers, but there will be some cunims, there'll be some thunderstorms along the line of that trough as well. Now, further north, looks as if Scotland and Ireland are going to be pretty decent, but just breezy on those eastern coasts. Notice the cloud ceiling forecast here showing us orange and red colours. That's bases below 1,000 feet. Where we see the yellow colours is 1,000 to 2,000 feet. Green colours are 2,000 to 4,000 feet. So you can see we've got cloud across much of the southern UK, very little across Scotland. Now on to Saturday. That front edges its way northwards on Saturday, brings most of the cloud and outbreaks of rain through central southern parts of Scotland. Probably some of it could be quite heavy at times over high ground. Bases are coming in at about 1,000 feet up to tops of around 12,000 feet. Central and northern Scotland better, but quite breezy in northern Scotland. For England and Wales, misty start. I think then we'll find the mist clearing. 1 or 2 bright spells, but some showers developing as well, particularly across northern England. Further area of rain getting onto southern coast of England. real messy situation. Bases across the far south, probably 2,000 feet, tops about 10,000 feet. Across central and northern parts of England, 3,000 foot bases, 15,000 foot tops, but could be up to 20,000 feet if we see any showers. So it's not particularly great for any distance flying. And then for Sunday, we've got an area of rain through central and eastern Scotland, parts of northwestern England as well. Getting into northern and western Wales later. I think that gives us base of 1,000 feet, tops at about 12,000 feet. We've got some rain as well for parts of East Anglia, for southeast England, for southern England. Bases here 1,000 to 2,000 feet, tops again at about 12,000 feet. In between, not too bad. Bases of around 3,000 feet, but tops at 12 to 15,000 feet, and a risk of some heavy showers here. A few showers too across northern and northwestern parts of Scotland. So all in all, I've got to be honest, I've seen better flying weekends. Maybe okay for something local, particularly across central parts of England and also for central and northern Scotland. But generally, might want to get a few brownie points in the bag, ready for when the weather improves once more. Okay, I'll leave you with that for now. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
See you, Simon. Thank you very much. You're right. The weather here is currently pants. We have to walk from our hotel to the hotel restaurant, which is just over the road. And we all got rained on this morning. We went to breakfast, rained on tonight. We went to dinner, rained on tonight when we came back from there. Anyway, enough of all that. So this is a little segment in the show where I talk to you and say, well, normally it's Johnny, but he's somewhere else, or Sarah, she's somewhere else. So tonight it's me. It's me saying, look, please join the Flyer Club. £5 a month. For £5 a month, you get everything we produce. You get all sorts of member benefits. You get loads of exclusive content. You get an exclusive live stream on a Wednesday afternoon. Exclusive events happening later on in the year. And you get, of course, the free landing fees. And here's a little competition, because we have done like less planning than you really should. And it's not written down at the moment. So let's have a little competition. So, Rachel, where's one of the free landing fees this month?
I think Taton Hill.
Taton Hill.
Or is it Tatton Hill? I think it's Taton Hill.
You say Taton, I say Tatton.
Answers in the comments, please.
Answers in the comments. Dave?
Well, I happen to know that Tatton Hill is only weekdays, actually.
Ah.
Another one is Ruffham.
So you went for Tatton Hill, did you?
No, Rachel went for Tatton Hill. I've gone for Ruffham.
No, the pronunciation of Taton.
Taton, Tatton.
Dave's gone for Ruffham. Use it while you can. I'm going to go for Easter, would be my one. So yeah. Easter. Ed's busy sort of setting up the show. So Rachel, have you got another one, another guess?
Bodmin?
Bodmin, yeah, that's another one. And Dave?
Carnarvon,
finally Carnarvon. So you get all those free landing fees. So for a £5 a month, which is pretty damn decent value, join the club. Thank you very much. Right, it must be time for something else. It must be time for news.
It must be time for news. And Dave
I think
you've
leading
got
the news.
A story about Davidstow.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a really terrible story, actually. At Davidstow Airfield, which is mostly a microlight airfield, they had an arson attack last week, the second in 2 years, and 10 whole aircraft were destroyed. Included in that is the personal aircraft of the guy who runs the flying school there, and his business is gone unless he can get it back. But otherwise, the hangar, the aircraft are destroyed. 10 bloody aircraft completely burned to bits. We saw a picture of a C-42, Icarus C-42. It's completely unrecognisable. So, unfortunately, that's happened, and the police are on it. So we don't know how far they're getting so far. They've kept that to themselves. We will be talking to the guy who runs the flying school there, Gary, next week. This week being in Aero, it hasn't been easy to do that kind of thing. So next week we will be talking to Gary to find out what, if anything, is a kind of follow-up. And hopefully he can find the wherewithal and the drive to get back into business, although it's going to be very, very tough for him.
Yeah, and this is the second time that there's been an
right.
arson.
Yeah,
I think the second time. Well, actually, I think there's been 3 arsons attacks. Oh, wow. This is the second in 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. It's the second one where aircraft have been destroyed.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some rumours going around, but we shouldn't speculate that.
No. Well, I think it's in probably the main that some people say they know exactly who did it, but we all know that it's knowing who did it.
Yeah.
And proving that is 2 different things.
And unfortunately, he did have CCTV at the airfield, and he did pick up an intruder.
Yeah.
But the fire was started pretty much immediately after that, and within 5 minutes, the whole thing was ablaze and the camera was consumed.
Yeah.
So
Buy your cloud backup, people, if you're trying to protect something.
we don't know whether maybe there was, but
Maybe there was.
Yeah, no, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So the next story, I think, is Ed with the Robin.
So
A bit
Robin,
more,
let me just
more
find
of a
the photo.
positive bit of news
Yes.
than the last one.
So we're into Aero show news. So obviously Aero Friedrichshafen opened yesterday here at the fantastic Friedrichshafen airfield and exhibition area. And the probably the most exciting aeroplane that's been revealed is a Robin DR401 with a turbine engine. And the turbine is also news. It's been unveiled by Turbotech, which you may remember from your Aero news last year. Turbotech have a turbine, a reburning turbine, is it?
They call it regenerative. It means
Regenerative, yeah. So it burns, so it basically combusts the exhaust gas a second time to make the turbine more efficient, which results in a fuel burn that's kind of more like a Lycoming fuel burn than literally loads of litres an hour that turbines are usually famous for.
Yeah.
So anyway, we spoke to Casimir Pellissier yesterday at Show Open, and there is a full video out now.
Yeah.
And Casimir said that they went because you could go, this is a bit fantastical, turbine on a Robin, but he said, we see this as more sustainable than going with an electric power plant or hybrid. He said, because if we put a turbine in there that has a sensible fuel burn and is easier to operate, then we can look at a future with sustainable fuels. So,
in fact, I talked to Turbotech.
Yeah.
And they're actually working on a hydrogen burning version.
Wow.
Which will make it a very clean engine indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are problems with hydrogen. First of all, it's the infrastructure you've got to put in place.
Yeah, and the tank.
And tech is a bit difficult because hydrogen, being the smallest molecule, tends to leak whenever it gets the opportunity.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very precise on everything. But so there is a future there, and the Turbotech turbine basically burns almost any fuel. Yeah.
I think Casimir said it will burn vodka and rum.
Yeah.
Well, it will. It may even burn dodgy wine as well.
Yeah.
We're not going to go there because we've still got to have breakfast tomorrow morning. Yeah.
And the plan is, they're aiming to fly this aeroplane later on this year. Turbotech will start the certification process for the engine end of this year, and they hope to have that complete by 2026, don't they?
Yeah.
The certification. I mean, I think we should probably say, should add a dose of realism in here. I don't think you'll be able to buy a turbo Robin in the next few years, or a turbine Robin in the next few years, or a turbine anything else with that engine in the next few years. It takes a long time to certify an engine. It takes even longer to put it in an STC.
It's certified aircraft, but it is available in the JMB, for instance.
It is available in the JMB. So if you want a JMB, you can't have the JMB in the UK, the turbine JMB, can you?
No.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Talking about things we can't have in the UK.
Yes, I'm talking about turbines. I suppose it's not really news, but I've been wandering around the heli hall and the ultralight section of Aero the last couple of days, and it's really brought home to me just how many helicopters there are in Europe that we just don't have in the UK. On the screen right there is the Connor K1, which is actually a turbine ultralight helicopter, seats 2 people. And they've developed the turbine in-house. Every component of that helicopter is made in Italy. And that's just one of, I think I counted 5 different ultralight helicopters that we don't have in the UK. And I've written a little roundup of it on the Flyer website if you want to have a look at those in more detail. But there's lots of interesting examples. There's one from Argentina called the Sicaro, which they've actually developed a proper ground-based training platform for. So you can do all your hover and hover taxi training on this little platform, which moves around on a 12 by 12 meter concrete pad.
It's like when you were a toddler and you put you in one of those things with the wheels and the circle.
It's exactly like that.
It's like a helicopter in one of those.
Yeah. I did ask.
It's like a little Tykes helicopter.
It is exactly like that. But you can't do engine off in the hover in those, apparently. Well, they sort of can, but it's not at a high enough altitude.
Can't
for
auto-rotate it either, I guess.
No auto-rotation training, but they do hope that in the end this is going to lead to actually being able to train indoors. So if you have a bad weather day or something, you can do your little hover training indoors.
They obviously haven't seen the size of my living room.
I think we could have committed another minor sin just now, because I think we introduced Rachel on the live stream extra yesterday, but we haven't introduced Rachel today, have we?
Ah.
So this is Rachel's first full live stream. Rachel's a helicopter correspondent for Flyer and has been for a number of years now, 4 years now. Also flies fixed wing and obviously helicopters. So
the viewers have been really good in the comments because they haven't gone,
Who's
Johnny?
that?
Who's that in place of Johnny?
So we all know that Johnny's off fighting in Ukraine and
Yes.
Vladimir. But yeah, good.
What's next in the news?
Yeah, what is next?
I don't think I've got a picture of this, but it's a Cirrus 9000 aircraft.
It is, yeah. I went to the Cirrus press conference today. It was a longer than average press conference, and mainly given by Todd because there hadn't been one last year, I think. So they had a long update. Effectively, the long short of it is that on Monday of this week, Cirrus delivered their 9,000th SR series aircraft. So it'd be SR-20, SR-22. Which is a huge achievement. I think the first SR-22 flew in 1999. We were thinking we would have researched that, but we were having dinner instead. I know. Which is pretty amazing. Some great statistics came out. One of the two interesting statistics. If you take worldwide general aviation that is airborne right now as we speak, on average throughout the year, 6% of that fleet is Cirrus that's actually up there flying right now, which is chunk of stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing that kind of really astounded me was they've analysed their sales, and 25%, just over 25%, in fact, of Cirrus sales, Cirrus SR sales, go to people who are completely new to aviation. That's not who've flown a bit before, we've learned to. They are new to aviation, and so I mean that's a huge number bringing in people new to aviation. I mean,
we did say that creates a potentially bombshell circumstance. Where you imagine if you were that person who learnt in a lovely brand new Cirrus, and then for some reason you decided to go and hire an aeroplane at a typical British flying club.
Yes.
My Cirrus is in for an oil change.
Yeah.
This is your hire plane.
Yeah.
And I think we recorded a video today, which was Rachel had never sat in a Cirrus until today. So we recorded a video today. We put Rachel in a Cirrus with Ivy MacGyver, who's just this bundle of energy and the product director for the Cirrus SR-22 line, so super knowledge about the Cirrus line, and kind of the experience. What's happened over the last 30 years is the gap between the average aircraft in the kind of fleet that's out there and what you can buy brand new. I mean, the price gap has grown for sure, but also the gap in the difference in airplanes. It's more than chalk and cheese. It's chalk and Saturn rockets or something. I don't know. So chalk and something very, very different.
Yeah.
So it's quite astounding. That video should be up sometime next week or the week after, maybe.
And I have managed to, in that short time, to find a picture of one of the 9,000th Cirruses.
Yeah.
There you go. There are 9 special edition Cirruses for sale to celebrate that, but they've all been bought already, so you can't have one unless you buy one used. So there you go.
Yeah.
Which leads me to hand over to the next news story, which is I have no idea.
Well, of course, the other big news from this year's Aero is the Rotax 916. It had its European debut, which I think you're going to talk about it.
Yes, I would. That's one of the things I haven't got a photo of, but I can tell you about it. And you know what the Rotax engine range looked like. This is what they're calling the impossible engine. Mark Becker, in a press conference yesterday for the European launch of the 916, described the fact that they are continuing to evolve that 4-cylinder platform, and the 916 I think gives you you can have 160 horsepower for 5 minutes, and then you can have 141 horsepower for continuously until you run out of fuel, up to 23,000 feet, I think, something like that. One of the few interesting things he said in the press conference is that someone said, there's other people offering more powerful Rotaxes, the kind of aftermarket modifiers. And he said, Rotax, we're aware of this, and we're very proud of our engine, but we will only offer a more powerful version when we can back it with a 2,000-hour warranty. So that's where they've got to with the 916.
2,000-hour TBO, wasn't it?
2,000-hour TBO, yes. Yeah, 2,000-hour TBO. Interestingly, he said that the 916 is actually more efficient at altitude at the eco setting than the 915.
Yes. We haven't quite really worked out why at the moment.
No, but he said it.
He said
so
it.
It must be true.
You know, the other thing I haven't worked out why is maybe it was lost in translation, or maybe I'm just being dumb. It's called the why would you call an engine the impossible engine? That's a bit like going to a restaurant and going, it's the inedible meal.
I'm guessing it's there, you know.
But clearly it's not impossible, is it? Because it's there.
It's a possible engine.
It's
Making the impossible possible.
Possible, yeah. I'm guessing
making the impossible possible engine.
When you think about it, when they started out with this kind of little 4-cylinder 80 horsepower engine, and this has evolved into this pretty much monster.
Yeah,
machine.
double the horsepower.
Double the horsepower,
yeah.
and pretty complex. 80, I think he said it was 82 or 86 kilos. The other news was that it was, if you've got a 915 in any aeroplane currently, the 916 is a complete straight swap. So, which tied into, because I
swap plus money.
Swap plus money. I said, what other manufacturers are you working with besides Cub Crafters, who have got the launch aircraft? He said he obviously revealed JMB, who've got the VL3, and you'll see a photo of that shortly. But he said there are 50 other airframes with the 915 in that, you know, potentially could reveal themselves as 916 customers in future.
I wonder if the 915 will survive the 916.
I don't know. It's I think he said the price differential was another €4,000, something like that.
4,000 euros gets you 5 minutes of 19 horsepower.
Yeah.
More efficient cruise speed. A cruise problem.
Yeah.
But we do know it's going to go in the flight design F4, the 4-seater.
He did say that. Yeah. So
is there one of those at the show?
No,
there is not.
There is not an F4 at the show. There's an F2, the 2-seater, but not the F4.
Yeah.
Has the F4 flown?
They've flown a proof of concept aeroplane there. I don't think they've flown the.
No.
I think I can remember, like, quite a few years ago now, sitting in a press conference talking about this 4-seater.
Yeah.
Well, before the F4, Flight Design did have the C4.
C4, yeah.
That's right. But they totally
went to D and E.
They totally redesigned the concept because they wanted to get this safety cage, a whole bunch of other things. They wanted to make it their airframe of the future, was the idea. So they went back to the drawing board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Allen says it's probably called the impossible engine because it's impossibly expensive. Mark Lithen said maybe the next step is the infinite improbability drive.
We were trying to think what the next one was, weren't we?
Yeah.
What comes after the impossible?
Yeah, Chris Holiday said there's an RV4 on a stand at Aero with a Rotax 915. There really is.
There is
and
indeed.
It is really impressive.
And its whole tail has been painted as a QR code that you can scan as you go past.
Unfortunately, they've surrounded it with other bits of things that look like QR codes, so I couldn't make it work. You could make it work. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. That's the story of my life. What's next in the news?
Well, the next thing is about Pipistrel.
Pipistrel.
I managed to get it out. Pipistrel.
And
the Pantera, which we had a good chat with the new boss of Pipistrel Aircraft, a chap called Gabriel Massey, and he's confirming that the Pantera is going to go to certification with the EASA. They're going to have an Iconin 260 horsepower internal combustion engine in its for the first certification. That gets the airframe through certification. They're going to go to full IFR certification with this, but it gets the project started and going in the right direction. They are already working on a hybrid engine, which we've seen already and it's been in the news. But the eventual aim is to go fully electric, but that's obviously some years off because we haven't got the battery power with it. And at the moment, I don't think they've worked out whether they're going to go battery powered or fuel cell, which both of those technologies are in early days.
Pantera could win the award for the aeroplane in longest development. Well, maybe it'll vie with that and the F, C, D, E, and F4.
Has the Pantera been at Aero? That's probably been showing for on and off maybe 10 years.
Not as long as the Zocca diesel, but a long time.
I bet hardly anyone remembers the Zocca diesel. Yeah. Mention in the comments if you do.
Yeah.
What else is in the news, Dave?
What else?
Piper. Yes, Piper. I went to the Piper press conference yesterday morning, and they had a couple of announcements. Obviously, like all aviation manufacturers at the moment, they're trying to make some sustainability moves. So they had a big announcement, which was that all their PA-46 derived turbine aircraft can now be safely run on sustainable aviation fuel.
Right.
SAF, which is cool. And they've said that it's available in every country that the PA-46 is operating in. And there's no change to the aircraft specs or pilot's operating handbook. You can just go for it.
I have to say, this sustainable, that's almost like a BBC fact check. You go, can you really get sustainable aviation fuel?
It's been a hot topic, this Aero, hasn't it?
It has. There's a little scheme called book and claim. So even if you cannot get SAF at your airport, you can book it, claim the benefits of it. In other words, the carbon credits. And I don't know quite how that works, but there is this weird scheme, book and claim.
Sort of offsetting.
Sounds a bit like Green Shield stamps.
Yeah.
If you remember those.
I do remember Green Shield stamps. Yes, it does sound a bit like that. I mean, we have put it to people like Gamma that SAF is really a bit of good greenwashing. But there's a very actually it was a guy from Textron recruited, wasn't it? And he came back with a very strong defence, saying this is the way forward for the time being.
Yeah, I think SAF fuel from a carbon point of view is really good. The problem with it is the energy input, the kind of feedstock and stuff like that is. I mean, there's a huge amount of Jet A burnt in the world by airlines in the military, so that's an awful lot of stuff that needs growing effectively now.
Yeah. What's next?
The final story for news at the moment is the Aero, which is a.
You do that. I'm going to go check the battery. Carry on without me.
I'll
be back.
A French startup. And their first product is a two-seat side-by-side aerobatic trainer. You can see it here. It's a tail dragger. It's actually got a very bold project for a first aircraft. It's also got this. It's got this little feature. It's not a big feature really. They're very keen on recycling, and the airframe is made out of this wood carbon fiber composite. I only discovered this at about 10 minutes ago.
This is the Integral R, isn't it?
It's Integral R, yes.
Yeah.
So I've had a great deal of time to research what a wood carbon composite really is. But apparently, when it gets to the end of its life, not aeroplanes ever come to end of life really, but when it gets to end of life, they can recycle it.
And well, I guess as Rob Anoff always points out, wood is nature's composite.
It is.
Yeah. And that's IO 390 powered, and it's also going to be available in a nose wheel configuration, isn't it?
It is. I think the market for that is really the what they call the UPRT, upset recovery training.
Yeah.
Because that's now a compulsory element of your ATPL training, your airline pilot training, and so there's a new market for two-seat, preferably side by side. Much easier to do training with side by side.
Yeah.
It is. It does look like a modern campaign.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm getting, as I get older, I'm getting increasingly cynical about this green recycle. I mean, how many of those do they plan to build, and how much difference is that going to make? And it just seems like a badge that you have to put on everything. I mean, it's a thing we do need to sort.
Yeah.
But I'm just not sure.
In the sailing world, where there's lots of old glass fiber boats.
Oh yeah.
The problem is what to do with all this, because you see them.
They're really hard to recycle.
They're really hard to recycle. You see them lying around in marinas and riverbanks.
I'll bet you that an average size marina in somewhere in Europe, there will be more boats in it than there will ever be integral
R's that need recycling.
Yeah.
Have we got time?
Sadly.
Yeah. There is one more news item, which is the Junkers A60.
Yeah.
Just hold up. Any viewers of a sensitive visual disposition,
Turn away now. Turn away now.
There's this guy. You try and unsee the cowling, because Junkers, last year they unveiled the A50, which was a really lovely tandem aeroplane in the history and spirit of an existing historic Junkers. And we knew they teased with an aeroplane hanging up that we couldn't look at. The side-by-side imagined A60 units, and it's got a retractable nose gear undercarriage. It had the mock-up they showed us last year had a really beautiful cowl. We turned up at the show this year, and this one had this cowl with quite challenging aesthetics.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the comments. I feel some people may be upset. Someone said replica Stuka cowling. Oh dear, and a slightly queasy face there.
It looks even worse in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, if I told you that Ed's picture there makes it look
That's not a terrible photo of it.
I think the nose wheel doesn't help either, does it?
Yeah. Tom Watson says it looks like the front got a bit hot and melted.
Because it looks like someone's landed and the engine's just carried on and bent itself. It's just...
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping they might go back and fix it. It's a neat concept. They've sold the A50 sold really, really well. This obviously is side by side. It's got, you can swap it from open cockpit and you can also have an enclosed tender bubble. You know, it kind of, and they're beautifully crafted.
There's nothing you could do to that aircraft that will make it saleable.
That is true. Yeah. Sorry, Yonkers. You were doing really well with the A50, but this A60 is just, this makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
So
one last thing.
Yeah.
Where are you off to on Saturday, Ian?
Pilot Grizz Live.
Yes.
Yeah, Pilot Grizz Live in London, Heathrow, Sofitel Hotel. If you're thinking about a career as a commercial pilot, come along. www. Well, I don't know why I say www. That must be that's like part of my age. Pilotcareerslive.com. Go there. Tickets are still available, and I'd love to see you on Saturday. It looks like it's going to be a really busy show with lots of great things, lots of airlines coming along. So come along. It'll be good.
It'll be good.
It'll be good. A little bit tiring, but good.
Yes.
Fantastic. Oh, so it's perfectly timed. Look at
Yeah,
that. We've
it's
almost
time to
nailed
bring
it.
our special guest on.
Yes.
We're sharp tonight.
So, Rachel, introduce our special guest as we rearrange him on the screen and try.
Yeah. Well, our guest tonight is someone who is showing what's possible when Red Bull gives you rotors rather than wings. I was pleased with that one. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us. We're really happy to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we can. Can you hear us okay?
Perfect, yes.
I have to say, Aaron, your background looks so much better than ours.
It really does.
At the moment, it might be a little better than yours. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here in Los Angeles and enjoying some nice weather for a few days before I hit the road again.
It looks amazing. So I think it's fair to say, Aaron, that you do some fairly outlandish things with helicopters. I have to admit, I'm someone who likes to stay straight and level when I'm flying a helicopter. So I'm intrigued, what got you interested into the world of helicopter aerobatics?
Well, Red Bull had the helicopter aerobatic program up and running for many years before I became involved with it. And my introduction to it was I was working with Red Bull as a vendor, providing helicopter services in various capacities through my company. So I was dropping their skydivers, doing a lot of aerial filming for Red Bull over the years. So when they needed a new pilot here in the United States, I was already a known entity to them. So it was easy for them to ask me if I was interested. Of course, I said yes. And then hung up the phone and thought, my goodness, what have I committed to? This seems crazy. And then all the training is done internally at Red Bull. So there are two guys that run the program and teach the rest of us. And that's Rainer Wilke from Germany and Blackie Schwartz, who's a Austrian guy. He runs the program. He's our boss. He's actually recently just retired from being the chief helicopter pilot worldwide for Red Bull, but he's still very active, still flying, and he's a great guy. Those two are the ones who trained me and brought me into the program.
Fantastic. We should probably mention that before you were throwing helicopters around, you had quite an interesting array of other helicopter-related jobs. So it must have been a little bit of a departure from those, but maybe you could tell us a bit about what you did before?
I've been really fortunate in that I've been able to do a lot of different interesting things with helicopters vocationally. So I spent some time building power lines with the MD 500 in the mountains in Southern California. I've done some firefighting, flying the Black Hawk. I've done a lot of movie work. Film and television work is still primarily how I make my living when I'm not doing Red Bull aerobatics. I've done offshore support in helicopters, a lot of racing support. So I've been really blessed over the years to be able to do some very, very fun and challenging things in helicopters, and it's been really rewarding. I feel like the luckiest guy on earth, that's for sure.
That's an awesome career, and I'll come back to the movie stuff because I'm really interested to hear about that. But I'm also intrigued about the firefighting. How does that work in a helicopter?
The way we do it here in the Western United States, there are local municipalities that have their own fire departments. Like Los Angeles City municipality has its own helicopter fleet, and then the county has theirs. So there's a lot of state and city-run organizations. But at the federal level, when we fight big forest fires, that's generally done by private contractors that contract to the U.S. Forest Service to go out and fight fire for a season. And that's the way that I've been participating in that. I work for a private contractor who contracts aircraft and services to the U.S. Forest Service, so they'll call us up when there's a big fire, and off we go. And then specifically the way we fight fire, we use older Blackhawks that have been surplused from the U.S. Army. So they're A models, which is the super old one. One of the ones I fly was delivered in 1978, serial number 37.
Wow.
But we use a long line, 150-foot long line with a Bambi bucket. And that's the method that we use to fight fire, direct attack.
Wow, it sounds very exciting.
It is really, really fun. Yeah, it's cool because, you know, I do entertainment related stuff in helicopters, whether it's air shows or making movies. So to go out and, you know, fight fire, it feels really good. You feel like you're using the machine for what it's built for. You know, you're in the fight.
Yeah.
I have to just to jump in. With the Bambi bucket, I've seen videos of some European operators where sometimes when you desperately need water, they'll go, "Hey, it's someone's swimming pool. Let's fill up there." Have you ever done that?
Oh, I wish. That's on my list. There's a big bullseye on every swimming pool that I fly over. On some contracts, we're authorized to take water from any source. So the possibility exists. I've never taken water from a swimming pool, but I will. I've taken water from private ponds and things like that, really close to homes, but I've never put a bucket in a pool like the one behind me.
Make sure there are no kids swimming in it first.
Yeah.
So I get the ride of their life.
Very short ride after that.
So that must be quite useful. The skills that you learn doing that must be quite useful in your work as a stunt pilot and movie pilot, in terms of maneuvering the aircraft and, you know, getting it into some relatively uncomfortable situations. And you've been in over 100 films and TV productions. Which has been the most challenging?
There are a number of challenges with any production, but generally the hardest part isn't the glamorous part that you see on television or on screen, where there's, you know, pyro going off and fake guns shooting everywhere and we're flying under bridges. That's the fun part. The hard part is the preparation. You know, when you first hear the idea from the producer or director, it sounds impossible and implausible and dangerous and illegal. So it's up to us to kind of find a way to realize their creative vision in a legalish and safe way. So that's the hardest part. The flying itself is just the reward that you get to do after 600 emails and 14 Zoom conferences. You know, once you get in the helicopter, it's my habit when I'm putting on the seatbelt. I always say, time for the fun part. Because the flying, you know, whatever you're doing, whatever the challenge is with the helicopter, to me, that's the fun part. The real challenge is in the preparation work.
Yeah, I can imagine that. What films can we catch you in most recently?
Well, you'll never see me in one because I fly the camera ship. So I generally fly, you know, the gyro stabilized camera systems, and I chase the heroes around. But yeah, the biggest one I think worldwide that I've filmed that you'd know is Extraction. It had Chris Hemsworth in it. We filmed that one in Thailand. That was a ton of fun. We worked on a really big one in Saudi Arabia recently called Cherry. That one didn't turn out to be a big hit, but we got a couple in the can that I can't talk about yet. But yeah, it's a fun time. Whether you're working on Top Gun, which I didn't, although I will give you a little anecdote there. My partner is Kevin LaRosa Jr., who's a big aerial coordinator, and he worked every day on Top Gun for about 1.5 years. So during that time, I got all the jobs that he would have normally done. So even though I never worked 1 minute on Top Gun, it was a huge financial gain for me. I've never been so busy in my whole career.
I've got if I just jump in for a quick question on some of the Red Bull stuff that you do.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to, we used to have a guy writing for us who was a test pilot on the chief test pilot on the Harrier or the AV-8V. And he was very keen on saying every time they did something, they did it really iteratively. So you could always come back really from that point. So with a helicopter aeros, it seems to me that at some point you have to kind of commit and do it. And I don't know if you're going to do a backflip or something, can you do that iteratively, or do you just have to go for it?
You just have to go for it. You can. Well, yeah, I was going to say there are some things you can do iteratively, but generally speaking, all the maneuvers are ballistic, so we can't maintain inverted flight in a helicopter, obviously. So we have to direct our energy upward, use that momentum, use that upward energy to affect whatever maneuver we're doing, and then recover as the energy reverses and you start descending again. So the answer really is no. There's no way to step your way through some of those aerobatic maneuvers. You have to commit. And this would be a good time for a sidebar for me to say on camera that I didn't invent any of it. I was taught how to do it by Rainer Wilke and Blackie Schwartz. Those guys are two of the best in the world, and I was lucky to learn, from the masters, at the knee of the masters.
Have you got any other exciting stunts coming up that we can look out for?
Well, we have a bunch of air shows coming up. We're just in the beginning season of the air shows here in the beginning part of the season of air shows in the United States. So we have one coming up in Fort Lauderdale in 2 weeks, and then we're in Georgia a few weeks after that. And then I'm going up on a filming mission. We're going to go up and film the Sail GP race in San Francisco. So it's kind of like America's Cup, only a little bit smaller and tighter courses. So it's lots of action. It's really fun to chase those around in a helicopter.
So just a boring practical thing. If you're going to go and do a display in Fort Lauderdale, and you're in Los Angeles, and presumably you need to practice and stay current at the Redbull Aeros kind of stuff, presumably you don't jump in the Volco in Los Angeles and fly a 4-day cross country to Fort Lauderdale or something, do you?
I do not, but somebody does. I have a teammate for that. We'll let you peek behind the curtain here. We have 2 identical helicopters here in the United States, and then 2 more at our major headquarters in Salzburg at Hangar 7 there, which I highly recommend visiting if you get a chance. But having 2 in the United States, we keep one in Los Angeles all year round. And then in the wintertime, they both live in Los Angeles. But during the show season right now, we keep one in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is much closer to the center of the United States. So geographically, it's a little more strategic. So that's the one that flies to all the East Coast shows and everything in the Midwest. Basically, everything on the east side of the Rocky Mountain Range is done with the helicopter that's based out of Shreveport. But you're correct. Somebody flies it there. I have a teammate named Stan who does that. So I wouldn't trade jobs with him, but he loves it. He loves flying all around the country and going slow and smelling the flowers, whatever you do. I don't know, but he enjoys it.
The Volcos that you use for the Redbull Aerobatics, are they standard helicopters, or have you modified them in any way?
They're unmodified, but they're not in standard category. We had to put them in experimental category here in the U.S. to be able to legally do aerobatics, because it says right in the POH that that aerobatics are prohibited. So ours are in experimental category, but they're very much standard right out of the box BO 105s, unmodified. Unless you count, we've taken out all the any system that isn't completely necessary, including the climate control, heating, air conditioning, cup holders, all that's gone. It's down to the metal. So they're as light as we can possibly make them. But structurally and in terms of the engines and control surfaces, they're unmodified. Any BO 105 can do what we do.
Yeah. And is it one of the most, because you hear lots of people talk, they really wax lyrically about the 105. Is it one of the best helicopters to fly?
In my opinion, yes. But it depends on what your goal is and what any helicopter is just a tool, just like an airplane. Some are suited better for other purposes so specifically the BO 105 is perfect for what we do because it has such a large aerodynamic performance envelope, which allows us to do aerobatics. But there are other helicopters that excel in other things. Like there are many that go much faster. There are many that fly more smoothly. There are many that are more modern and reliable. Well, of course, the BO 105 is pretty reliable. I would say it's way ahead of its time from an engineering standpoint. It's quite a remarkable machine. I'm pretty lucky to fly it. It's not the only one that can do aerobatics, but for bang for the buck, where it sits in the economical scale, it's about the best tool for the job for sure.
So if you had the chance, we have a feature called Fancy Hangar where we often pick things that that are out of reach, but we would love them. What's in your helicopter fantasy hangar, Aaron?
I play this game with my sons all the time, and my teed up answer is always a 747 freighter, so that I can go anywhere and take everything with me. But you said helicopter specifically, so I think not having flown Apaches or Cobras or anything with all the missiles and guns on it, I think I would probably pick the BO 105. I just love it so much, and now I'm kind of addicted to doing aerobatics. So I think if I just had to pick one, that would be the one. But there's a long list of things I would fill out that hangar with for sure.
Are you a fixed wing pilot as well?
I am, yeah. I have a decathlon, so I get to go fly light aerobatics in that, and the rotation rate and the G load is about the same as the helicopter, and speeds and everything. So decathlon is a perfect platform for me to, keep my G tolerance up and go have some fun. And my kids both fly it too, which is the purpose of a decathlon. It's like the perfect aerobatic trainer. So if you want to go teach somebody aerobatics, you can't get a much better platform than a decathlon.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Do you think that you can learn aerobatics on a fixed wing and then translate that onto a helicopter, or is it very different?
It's completely different. The things that do transfer are, you know, your tolerance for G's. And when I say G's, we're talking light G's. The everything I do in the helicopter display is under 3 G's. So the fighter pilots and aerobatic competitors are probably laughing out loud right now when they hear 3 G's. They pull more like 10 or 12. But just to get used to the rotation, get used to spinning and being upside down and all that, that transfers the physical tolerance for it. But the control inputs and everything else, that it's what we do in the helicopter is very specific to the helicopter. You're managing a lot more parameters in a helicopter than you are in fixed wing. Just in terms of, you know, you're managing when I'm doing aerobatics in my decathlon, I just firewall the throttle and then pull real hard and start rotating. But in the helicopter, you're managing temp, torque. You can still overspeed it, over temp it, all these things. So you have to kind of manage a lot more. It's a little more busy in the helicopter than it is in the airplane.
So we promise we're not going to do it, but if you want to do like that backflip thing in a helicopter, how is that? Just stick all the way back or something?
Yes, there's a little more to it. I don't want to get into specific control inputs because that might inspire somebody to go try it. And a lot of the recovery control inputs are counterintuitive. So if you think, oh, it's so simple, I'll just pull back, then you'll probably end up over torquing it and over speeding it if you do that. But yes, in a simple sense, the cyclic, that you're going all the way to the stop, to the aft on that one. And interestingly, we go to the stops in the whole left hemisphere of the control arc. In the BO-105 during the display sequence. We don't do anything to the right, but everything goes to the left. We go to the full forward stop, full aft stop, full left stop, and everywhere along the left stop, forward and aft. So that's the hardest thing in the beginning when you're learning to do aerobatics in a helicopter. Instead of using control inputs that take a circle about this big, you're using all the way to the stops, which is very foreign to a helicopter pilot.
And is there any reason that everything is biased to the left rather than the right?
Yeah, it's aerodynamic. You want to use the tendencies of the aircraft in your favor. So in a BO-105, when you pitch up, when you add power, it wants to pitch up and roll left. And when you reduce power, it wants to pitch down and roll right. So you use those tendencies. So anytime you're pulling a lot of power, it's going to want to go left. So instead of forcing it to the right and demanding even more power, we just do everything to the left. And it's much, much easier on the airframe and on the transmission and the engines.
Fantastic. We've got a question in the comments. Jane says, Oh, I've got the wrong comment. There we go. What sort of aeros can you do in the 105?
What maneuvers?
Yes.
All the standard maneuvers, basic maneuvers that you can do in airplanes. We do loops, rolls. We do half Cuban-8s. We do combinations of those. I do that I learned from Reiner. I do a Immelman with a backflip. So you half a loop. As soon as you roll right side up, then you pull it back around and then roll on the down line. So we combine a bunch of basic maneuvers. A couple of things that are unique to the helicopter is the backflip, which is basically a zero airspeed loop. So you're hovering out a ground effect, stationary, both airspeed and ground speed, and then you just add power and pull it straight over backwards. It kind of feels like falling out of a chair. It's very unusual, but that particular maneuver is not possible in an airplane, as is the what we call the bow turn. So that's a turning maneuver. And what we do there is you get to the end of the show line, pitch up until you capture the altitude and airspeed that you're looking for, and then we pitch over forward all the way to the inverted position, and then while inverted and descending, you do a 180-degree turn on the yaw axis with the pedals, and then you pitch out another 180 degrees and head out on the reciprocal heading of entry. It's a really fun one to do. It looks cool. It's kind of 3 maneuvers combined in one. What kind of negative G are you pushing there then? Usually it's about 0 or just under 0. So maybe like 0.25 of a negative G. We try not to load it up on the negative side too much, but you do get just a little bit past 0 in a couple of the maneuvers. You shouldn't do that in a Robinson.
No, definitely not.
I do not recommend it in a Robinson.
That must be the weirdest sensation, that maneuver you just described.
Yeah, it's funny when you first learn. The very first one I did, you don't know what to expect. You don't know where to put your eyes. And anybody who flies aerobatics knows, you want to look through the maneuver and get your eyes oriented to where the aircraft is going to go. And in that sense, I had no idea what was about to happen. So I'm looking straight ahead like a cow through the windshield, and all of a sudden everything's upside down, and then it starts spinning, and then we start pitching again, and you come out of it and you're just like you've been through a washing machine. But once you learn where it's going to go and where to put your eyes, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah. Another question from a guest, Clive Anstey says, does the aerobatics, does that reduce any of the life on parts of the helicopter, like the rotor head?
No, that's the short answer. But we have kind of discovered over the years that there are a few components on the aircraft that get worn out a little faster than others. So we keep an eye on everything. We do a lot of maintenance, and we keep ours to the standard. In the States, we have Part 135 maintenance standards, and that's what we keep ours to. Even though we don't have to, we're an experimental category, but we maintain ours to the highest level possible, just for safety.
Must be all the stuff on the left that wears out.
You figured it out, man. I can't wait to tell the mechanics. Just look everything on the left. No, it's basically the tail rotor actually takes quite a higher load when we're doing aerobatics than it does in normal flight. So everything in the tail rotor drive shaft, that whole assembly, all those gearboxes and everything, those all get an extra look. But fortunately for us, we haven't had any structural failures. We've had the odd problem or two, like any helicopter operator, but the BO-105 is such a capable little machine, and what we do is well within its aerodynamic performance envelope. So we're really not hurting it. As long as you don't overtemp it, overtorque it, overspeed it, you're going to be fine. It's hard to hurt it with air.
Cat Burton says, is the 105 a rigid rotor like the Lynx? You might know that we've got a British helicopter called the Lynx. So.
I know all about the Lynx. Yeah, that's quite a machine. I'd love to fly one of those someday. I think it does everything the BO-105 does and weighs twice as much. That's a very capable machine. But to answer the question, the BO-105 does have a rigid rotor system. Yes.
Fantastic. Anyone else got any questions? I've got a couple more things to ask Aaron.
Right, go ahead.
Go for it.
Well, there's two things. Johnny Salmon, Steer with My Rear, said, best guest background ever. Paul Fraser Benison says, what's your dog's name?
Sparky. I knew someone was going to ask that. There she is right there. Her name is Sparky.
Oh, you mean that's a genuine house and pool? That's not one of those sheets that comes down?
No, that's my pool. It's a little cold for swimming right now. I've been on the road, so I haven't got the pool heated up.
Oh.
Fantastic. Well, that is tremendous. There's a few people have said in the comments, Paul Cadell says, pretty cool guest, interesting stuff. And Mark Litherland, great guest. I'm just absolutely tremendous. I just can't imagine doing so many different things like that in a helicopter.
Yeah.
If we were to translate into American, we'd say awesome.
Wait, do we overuse that word? I've been told that before.
Just a bit, yeah.
You're just much more positive than
yeah. You would say, well, thank you very much, Aaron. That was quite good.
Oh, okay.
It's really rather good, Aaron.
Okay, I'm going to try and incorporate that. I want to improve my English speaking skills.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron. You've been a fantastic guest. And
it's been an honor. Thank you. Sorry, I talked over you.
What's your web address for anyone who wants to go and have a look at more of what you do?
You can go to the flyingbulls.at for the Austrian site. I think you can type in .com and it still works too. But the whole Red Bull, the Flying Bulls operation is all covered on that website. And then if you want to go to the U.S. side to see where we're going to be for air shows, just go to Red Bull Air Force, and our whole show schedule is there. Or if you want to go on Instagram, it's just my name plus 105, Aaron Fitzgerald 105.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You've been a brilliant guest.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I just want to convey how lucky I feel and how lucky I am. And it's nice to talk to you guys.
We definitely get that idea. Feel free to hang around in the green room. We'll catch up. We can catch up with you in about 10 minutes. Otherwise, if you've got a really busy life, as it sounds you might have,
feel free to go for a swim or something.
Yeah, you'll see me. I'll do a cannonball here off camera.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
And Aaron's still in. There we go. It's us again.
In a long line of guests that make you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a career. Well.
Yeah.
A phenomenal career.
Well, here we go. Here's a British comment. Not too
shoddy.
Yeah.
Top man, great guest. My stomach's feeling most off at the thought of those manoeuvres.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. Ted's saying, not like Ian, he didn't say www.
I know.
Great.
Boomer.
What else? Super. And great sound and vision.
I know, it was amazing, wasn't it?
Decided improvement on yesterday, I feel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. We have
Yeah.
to find. Aaron, what's your setup?
That's
How
it.
can we make it work?
Well, it's a glorious house in lovely location with sun, by the looks of it.
Well, we'll get one of those for every live
I
stream,
know,
shall we?
yeah. Harry Scott's getting ahead of himself. Johnny wins. Excellent. So, fancy hangar, because we've been at Aero Friedrichshafen, we decided that we would pick our favourite aeroplanes from around the show.
Yeah.
Who fancies going first?
I'll go first because I know least about my choice, other than it's purely.
It's quite
aesthetic.
mysterious.
It is a bit mysterious.
But Ian picked this.
It's kind of it close up. It's huge. It's huge. It's kind of it. We think it's an Austrian-built aircraft, and we think it's basically what used to be the Diamond Dart,
which was their military.
Which was their military trainer. Yeah. So this is kind of like big turbine, 2-seat tandem, military-looking like trainer. It just looks like it'll be a whole bunch of fun.
It's
doesn't it?
very imposing, and this photo is taken on a stick up in with the camera up quite high. When you walk around this thing, your eye level isn't at spinner height. It is massive.
Yeah, it feels like you're going to need a ladder to get in.
Yeah.
Or get up on the wing. So I went for that. Yeah, none of your kind of 2-seat side by side low wing metal Rotax 912.
This is
80 horsepower things.
This is definitely a Jeremy Clarkson power.
Well, I don't want to be compared to Jeremy Clarkson, but how
about Dave?
Well, I've gone for something quite big as well, which is the TBM 960. This is the latest version of the TBM, announced last year. Deliveries are now starting, and this one is owned by a European customer of TBM. I mean, it's just a phenomenal aircraft. I don't think you can make this a better aircraft. It's just beautiful inside. TBM, Deho, who now own TBM, just like Cirrus, they've made incremental improvements year after year for the last few years. They clearly learned lessons from Cirrus. You've got to keep improving the product. And they just this year, the 960, phenomenal amounts of power. It's all digital. It sounds like it's probably straightforward to fly because it's FADEC and that kind of stuff. And it's just a beautiful aeroplane. You'll be very happy. It has got one small flaw, and that is it's nearly $5 million.
$5 million.
$5 million. That's fully loaded.
I reckon
all?
I mean, maybe not in Los Angeles, but there must be parts of the States where you can get for $5 million. You must be able to get a decent little house and a Bolco 105.
I suspect so. You've got to get it across country somehow.
That's it. Yeah.
And everyone has a stand to take their thing cross country, don't they?
Yeah. Rachel. So.
Yes, well, I've gone for Cirrus because I've spent some time this afternoon sitting in one, and I've completely fallen in love with it.
You've got that new aeroplane, absolutely gaga feel.
Yes, I just loved it. It was so comfortable. It's like a luxury car, and it's got all the details that you'd expect from a luxury car as well, not just air conditioning.
Cup holders?
Not sure about cup holders. Has it got cup holders?
Yeah.
Lovely suede finishings.
A fan.
Air conditioning, which obviously is fantastic in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
But there's one
bits that don't come off in your hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I'm someone who's, most of us are used to flying around in knackered old planes that are sort of 40 or 50 years old, and sitting in a brand new aircraft like that, it was quite an experience. But the attention to detail is phenomenal, and it's right down to on the edge of the step where you get into the aircraft. They've got a little light which in the dark projects puddle lighting. It projects the Cirrus logo onto the ground.
Yeah, and I think you've got a little fob now, just like your Audi or whatever.
Judging by the advertising you see for Cirrus on around the stand, I think each aeroplane is also delivered with 2 or 3 beautiful people.
Yes.
None of you see the Cirrus advertising, and it bears no resemblance to any of the flying. Some of the club flying I've seen in the UK.
Yes, that's true. It's very aspirational branding, isn't it?
Well, it is a fantastic aeroplane.
And then 25% of their sales go to people who are new to aviation.
Which is amazing.
I remember reading something on a Cirrus forum years ago, and it was not that many years ago, and there was someone who was new to aviation and bought a Cirrus and put it in his hangar, and he came out and he was complaining. He goes, "There's a drop of oil on the floor," and we'd all ignore that. And it was, well, it doesn't happen on my Mercedes. Why is it happening on the bloody aeroplane? It needs to be sorted.
So critical factor here, obviously, last year we had Johnny. Johnny had confessed that he was obsessed with the idea of he'd never smelt a new aeroplane. Peter Cox says, does it smell good?
It smells really good, Peter. Yeah, it really does. And yeah, it's just completely immaculate. And yeah, that lovely new aeroplane smell.
Walking around, we filmed a little video this morning with Bose on the new A30, and we filmed it inside a Cirrus jet because we thought it'd be fun. And they have a detailer who goes around the airplanes every morning cleaning them. And he was there on the tailplane, not the jet, of the SR-22 with a torch, a high-powered torch, looking at it, making sure there were no marks and stuff.
Wow.
It's like, I mean, attention to detail there is it's a professional setup.
Everything about it is just so beautifully designed and sleek, and even down to, I've not seen this in another aircraft, but on the instrument panel, the right-hand side is angled slightly towards the pilot, so you can still see the flight display perfectly.
Shocking ergonomics.
I know.
They belong to a modern aeroplane.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good choice.
Come on then, Ed. What are you going to win with?
Well, it was for me. There was only one choice. It was this sensational looker. Oh no! It really wasn't this. I picked a bit unusual for me. I picked this. So this is the Messerschmitt M35. If you're thinking it looks a bit like some parts of a Jungmeister, that is the same Siemens radial that was on a Jungmeister. This is an amazing project to recreate this aeroplane. It was a 1933 aerobatic aeroplane from Messerschmitt. They only ever made 15 of them, and I get the impression that there are none around now. And this guy has it's on the German OUV stand. And it's been a long-term project to recreate it. It's like a steel tube truss fuselage. There's lots of beautiful aluminium work. The wing is wood with ply covering and things like. And the gear looks a little bit narrow and slightly terrifying, but beautiful hand-beaten spats. I think when that is finished, that is going to be an absolute stunner. It's just that really rings my vintage vibe. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing I'm gonna have to have a look at the comments.
Let's see where we
It does look like it's going to be a bit of a handful on takeoff and landing.
Oh yeah. Well, I should probably tell you what. I'll get rid of that photo, and you can see us, and I'll check out the comments. We've got Chris Holiday says, Ian, I know that's something I do know a bit about. It's not a dart, just a little bit like it. We will have to find out more. Nick Allen said it looks like it's excreting that exhaust of Ian's. Ian wins, that's sexy. Dave wins. It's no Luscombe, Dave.
No. As far as possible, away from us.
John Milner says they're all over the apron at RGV Gloucester. Rachel, Nick Allen, come on, Ed, choose something interesting. I hope I delivered there.
Nick, is that kind of saying that the rest of the things aren't interesting?
Yeah, Dave wins, but I couldn't even afford the propeller. Ed, you would win if the gear was farther apart. Dave wins. Ed has won again. Well done, Dave. Ed wins. Looking forward to seeing it in flight. Nigel, you probably know more about that aeroplane than me. Dave wins. I'm off to buy a Euro lottery ticket. On balance, Ian wins. Superb, Ed. Ed wins. Did all 15 ground loop? I think probably they did. Yeah. Dave wins, says Pete Pengelly, can I have a ride when you get one? Ed wins, sorry. Ian wins this week. Ed wins even if it's not finished. Oh my gosh. Ed wins, Ian wins, Ed wins, Ian wins, Ian wins.
Don't think we get much of a look in this week.
Ed's choice has mystery ship. It is.
It does actually.
It's like Messerschmitt mystery ship. God, that's hard to say. Jeez. Chris Winch is strong about this. Ed in capital letters. Otherwise, Rachel, because I enjoyed the one flight I did in the Cirrus.
It's interesting. The Cirrus, I think, for about the last 10 years, has been the best-selling high-performance aircraft worldwide. It's sold more. So it's clearly a huge market success, and having delivered 9,000, but it doesn't generate as much love here.
No. But 25% of the people who buy it are new to aviation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
it.
doing something right.
And what was that statistic you said about 6% of all the
6% of every GA aircraft flying right now
is a Cirrus?
Yeah.
Oh, look. Marcus Clark says, Rachel wins.
Yay, thanks, Marcus.
Yeah. Dan Smith, you're not with it, Dan. Johnny for me tonight. Ed wins. Oh, look, African Eagle, we all get a participation prize. Everybody wins.
Buongiorno.
Ed's is a proper aeroplane. There we go. And Ian wins.
They're all proper aeroplanes.
Yeah, well, and that is,
that was a draw between you two.
But quite possibly, I have to say that if you could have
Agree.
seen, if you could have seen the frenetic activity in the run up to it's the live stream. Ian really was right. We probably finished planning for it about 15 minutes into the actual live stream.
We haven't stopped for a single minute for the last few days, have we?
Since
3:50 a.m. on Tuesday.
Morning,
Yeah.
it's just been Anyway, you don't need to feel sorry for us. You need to join the Fly Club. You're not a member of the Fly Club? Come on, £5 a month. Not bad, is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant value.
If you happen to be at Friedrichshafen tomorrow morning, we're there until just after lunchtime before we fly home. So please do come say hello. A whole bunch of you have done so. So
I've been feeling a little bit embarrassed. There's quite a few people who said hello, but it's always running between places, and you got hi, sorry, and then run away. It's a little bit. If I've done that to you, I'm really sorry. It's just because there's just been so much on. There is too much on, and the press office is at one end, and it's just.
Whatever you're doing next always seems to be
always in the wrong bloody place. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah. And then this year, because of the video, we're carting around some huge tripod, which is anyway. Need to get one of those carts to pull or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I might just retire into it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Have we got any events coming up, Dave?
On Saturday, 22nd of April, there's a Jodel flying at Popham. There's also also at Popham at the same weekend. I'm not sure how this is all going to fit in, but the Royal Aero Club rallies, races, and whatever it is, association are having their race school over the same weekend.
Oh, the get into racing weekend.
Get into racing weekend. That's right.
Mix it with the Jodel weekend.
Mix it with the Jodel weekend. Yes, I'm not sure there's going to be too many Jodels racing. Anyway.
You only need to be able to do 100 miles an hour or 100 knots?
100
miles an hour.
Yeah. Next week, on the 28th of April, I'm saying this one early because you probably need to book it. There's a Military Civil Aviation Safety Day. This is the annual day that is run.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's at RAF Benson. It's an opportunity to go to RAF Benson.
Can you fly in?
I believe you can.
I think
you might be able to.
Yeah, it's on the website. There's details there.
Yeah.
Well done, RAF.
Yeah. Benson's going to get a couple of typhoons very soon.
Paul Fraser Benson says Spilstead, which was having a flying, cancelled this weekend. I'm guessing waterlogging, maybe.
Possibly, yeah. And until the 30th of April, it's running right now, is the Top Nav competition still.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And until Saturday, there's Aero Friedrichshafen still on Saturday. Pilot Careers Live, London.
Yeah.
That's about it, really.
That's about it. And there'll be a flyer team asleep somewhere.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Great stuff. Well done, everybody.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll see you, or some of us see you next Wednesday afternoon for the live stream extra if you're a member. So you got time to join between now and then. Otherwise, next Thursday evening at the normal time, just like this one. But we won't be in Ed's hotel room.
We'll be back home.
At least I hope we're not still in Ed's hotel room by then. We'll be back home. Thank you very much. Have a great one.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.